Good Thursday morning to you, Wiley here with Coffee Thoughts on the Wiley Report. Looking at what's going on in the news. I was looking on Instagram today, and it was posted out of Philadelphia, but it was actually a Loudon County school board meeting. That's like near or might be in Knoxville, Tennessee, but it had a packed room recently. I think that was yesterday or sometime this week, because there was a debate over critical race theory in schools and how it's divided the community. And then tonight, for the first time, which basically would have been yesterday, the public was allowed back to these meetings. So you had protesters that gathered outside long before the meeting began with, signs about stop teaching your children critical race theory. And they were organizing to oust board members. And then, the news anchor, Amna Nawaz, I hope I'm saying her name right. She's affiliated with PBS, posted, some of the parents' thoughts, and here they are. I'm sharing them with you. One parent opposed critical race theory in schools, tells board members, just teach children without your political agenda. Says teaching kids about systemic racism divides them. One parent says she's very worried about what she's seeing in schools, training our children to be social justice warriors and to hate our country. Parents also repeatedly call for better communication and transparency from school board. They're asking access to all the equity training teachers receive. They want advance notice of potential big contracts. Another mom, self-identified as Christian, and she says lead with love, and that she doesn't see skin color into the school board. She said, know this, that she will not yield. She will not let the school board have the souls of her children. One parent said, I will fight to the bitter end if you teach my children that they are racist just because they're white. Another person said it's not fair that far left teachers can express their views, but conservative teachers like myself get bullied and retaliated against. A teacher from a neighboring district made this comment. And then a former teacher at the podium says educators should be neutral, says teachers are being forced to teach progressive values, including equity, and she feels her First Amendment rights are being violated. Here are three things. One, the superintendent of Loudon County says critical race theory is not being taught in schools. So no one is teaching anyone's children critical race theory. The facts of history are not progressive values. And most people, you do see skin color. Systemic racism is not a political issue, it's a human issue. Talking about systemic racism is not divisive, but you know what is? Systemic racism. So what have we learned? We've learned that, people around the globe, or at least in this county, because I say it's in this county because that happened, but I've seen this on different news circuits. I want to say there's another state, that's Tennessee, but it's someplace else, that was, developing legislation to say that you can't teach that. So here's what I want to share. Let's talk about what critical race theory is. All right, real quick. And the reason I can, share what critical race theory is because I'm reading a book right now. First meeting is tomorrow. As a graduate student in information science program, the doctoral program, we're reading Knowledge Justice, Disrupting Library Information Science Through Critical Race Theory. And the reason I say that critical race theory is not being taught in elementary schools is because critical race theory has basically been around in law, in public health, in education. I think like Derek Bell is one of the founding critical race theorists. And basically critical race theory by, Francis Lee Ansley, which is an educator, I believe, basically says that it is referring to the political, economic, cultural system in which white control power and material resources, conscious and unconscious ideas of white superiority and entitlement are widespread, and relations of white dominance and non-white subordination are daily reenacted across a broad array of institutions and social settings. No one's teaching that to children, in K through 12. But we do have to have a conversation about this idea of what America is and what America isn't, and why is it that there's such a great need that America only be seen from one particular viewpoint. And that's a viewpoint that is positive, this viewpoint that is not racist. Why people hold on to that. It's not progressive. I don't care, the fact that we've had a Black president. That's great. I loved President Obama. I voted for President Obama. Yet it's still true that his election did not mean that the country was not racist. Though people tried to say that, we were a post-racist society. No, we weren't. We aren't. We're not. Actually, if we're going to be honest, race is the one thing that we've never talked about. We rushed in society and made a full-out effort to be inclusive, to be diverse, to be equitable, but we haven't always looked at structural racism and its effects on communities. We've not done that. They've never done that. They don't do that. Think about it. I was reading a professor's comments, and I'm trying to go to it. Her name is, hang on, bear with me. Dr. Jen M. Jackson. And she wrote that she was realizing that most people don't even know what critical race theory is, but people want to get rid of it because it involves telling the truth. The other thing that she said that stuck out to me was that it says so much about this place that the United States paid ex-slave owners for their loss of human property when slavery was abolished, but they never paid back Black people for having been property in the first place, because oftentimes when you start having a conversation about reparations and Black people go silent. And I'm not talking about that today, but it is connected to critical race theory. It is connected to why is it that people don't necessarily want the truth of history? Because when you tell the truth of history, you have to tell all the parts. Just tell it. It is what it is. I often think in my own life and every day that individuals, we're complex beings, even though we try to say that we're simple or we try to say that we're progressive, sometimes that's true and sometimes it's not. And just be willing to own it and sit in it and really, have conversations. When we think about what can you do about systemic racism, is that you can own the fact that, people have bias and people are racist. Own that. Look at individuals' own behavior and in your circles of influence. How can you change that? I don't think we can train you to not be anti-racist. I really don't. But I do think you can look at your views and your perspectives and really analyze where that comes from and how that carries over into so many different things. And I think people's unwillingness to do that, their rush to stop something, their rush to change a law, their rush, why is it that you do those behaviors? That's all I'm saying, but I just thought it was interesting today because I was reading that this morning while I was sitting up having coffee. And I'm like, gee, that's interesting because we're literally reading the book. We just started, with the introduction and chapter 1, introduction of that book, Knowledge Justice, talks about the different theories of critical race theories, and the tenets of it. And then you're going to go into, how it affects library information science spaces. So I thought that was interesting because, like I tell you all the time, life is lived in the intersections. Nothing is compartmentalized. Everything is always a continuum of connectivity. So, the more you know. What can you do? Point to yourself is amplify your voice. Your story, your voice, it matters. Let's not be silent out here in life. Let's not do that, okay? All right, that's all I got. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks for tuning in to the Wiley Report. Bye.